Thank you very much for that, Pietro. Like we said, we have two panelists today. And I was just wondering, starting with you, to working for Petrobras, to which extent you were vetted for your emergency response capability or integrated into their response system?
First of all, I would like to thank Studio Lauro for the hospitality. And to be honest, I have no idea about the contribution that I can bring into this conference, since I am maybe the youngest and surely the less expert of all of you. But I really think, and in my position, I really do think we must believe in young people, so thank you very much about that. Since we spoke about the tragically famous case of the Deepwater Horizon, I would like to dedicate a few words about the commercial consequence that such tragedy has in the oil supply vessel market. In other words, how the new regulation regarding the protection of the environment changed the oil major attitude in the market. Based on my very little experience, as you said, my company works with Petrobras. We have 7 vessels chartered there, so I think that my only experience is with Petrobras, and I think this is the only field I can speak in. And we saw in Brazil an increasing of the request of anti-pollution vessel, as for instance, platform supply vessel, really big one with oil recovery equipment. When I speak about oil recovery equipment, I would like to mention skimmer, I would like to mention oil booms, I would like to mention proper workboat that normally this type of boat that are modern platform supply vessel use in case of oil spill. In general, what we saw is that each Brazilian oil major is showing a need of quick response in case of pollution. And this is involved Petrobras, but this is involved also other companies as Shell, as Saipem, because now the Brazilian market is more or less open to a lot of oil major. The tendency that we are seeing in Brazil is that nobody wants to be in the same position of BP after the Deepwater Horizon event. What I mean is that everybody is trying to do his best in order to avoid such situation. And these things involves owner, because now we have a lot of requests for this kind of vessel. And we are seeing a lot of satisfaction for those owners who had the right vessel in the right moment. And I mentioned the oil rack vessel. And the important things of this vessel is that it's not important that this vessel are really modern. The important is the equipment. So we saw a lot of owners that maybe has a old vessel but with really good equipment that is all Norwegian equipment, and they can get a really good rate in a depressed market. So what in my job, what I see from the event of Deepwater Horizon is a new kind of market. I mean, the market of this kind of vessel that can bring, a good solution in a depressed market that involves not just the offshore business, but all the ocean-going vessel business. So, under a commercial point of view, we know that the things of the Deepwater Horizon was a big tragedy with 11 persons died, so something terrible. But in such way, this brings some new thing in the tender of the oil major, and especially on the Petrobras tender. The oil major now are really scared about the responsibility that they can have in this situation. And so they are trying to do all their best to avoid this kind of situation, and this reflects also on owner side, because more or less a lot of owners have invested a lot of money in all this kind of equipment, in this all new technology that it's really high specification equipment, and some owners find a really good market in this from this event, basically.
Okay, thank you very much for that.
Okay, I will try to be as quick as possible, and due to the time. And actually, the topic that Mr. Galizzi and Mr. Janssen introduced today is extremely interesting because it is related to something that you know, can in the offshore can endanger the safety of the vessels and of the person, and that is not strictly related to the performance or non-performance of the vessel. I dare say actually that in the offshore, speaking about the owners of the offshore support vessel side, you know, the fleet was almost completely renewed in the last years, so we don't have these problems of you know, having the vessel you know, obsolete vessels. The fact that you know, the topic that Mr. Galizzi introduced is very important because we suffer on our side sometimes a lack of communication from you know, between us and the charters, and this because especially in offshore fields, the master of the vessel, you know, become almost a friend of the platform manager or the OEM, and at the same time he is instructed and he takes orders from the shore base. So sometimes it's the fact that the master, in order to accomplish the owners, he wants always to say yes to the charters, but sometimes it takes orders from the wrong person. And I believe that as we did in the past with Saipem, and not because Saipem is here, but they pay lots of attention to this, we did some pre-meeting with the master and with the owners, and we sit in a room for a day in order to check the flux of informations, you know, back and forward from the vessel to the charters and vice versa. And one other thing which is very important to me, and it can be a consequence of the Deepwater Horizon accident, is that more than an observation or reflection is a hope that all of us, ship owners, we have for the offshore, is that the charters will consider, especially in the Mediterranean, to charter more vessels along an oil platform, because we are the ship owners of offshore support vessels. Most of the times are the weak and a small ring of a big and strong chain. So we are involved in a project that is lots bigger than ourselves, and so we are lots stressed. You know, and our vessels are lots stressed, and so we have to consider there are here many ship owners of traditional vessels. The offshore vessel is not a traditional vessel, and it undergo to some unforeseen maintenance most of the time, and it's very stressed because it's full of equipment. Many of them working at the same time, and we can have you know, a lack of one of them or a breakdown in one of them. And so if the charter have just one vessel along the platform, it can cause a problem and can stress the master of a vessel in saying to, you know, doing this or that, you know, and taking, you know, they give some orders, and sometimes it takes the master in a position not to say no because they have to accomplish the ship owners. So, you know, it's a hope that this disaster will bring the oil companies to charter more vessels, or at least a little bit more specialized vessels, like Giacomo were saying, some offshore oil recovery vessel, you know, specialized for this. This is an hope. And the last thing, very quick, is that extremely quick, and it's quick like the thing I'm saying, because we really hope that there can be a little bit, you know, of negotiation, of talk between the parties, before the closing of a contract, because sometimes the contract is closed in an emergency, and the ship owners are obliged to accept in full all the clauses. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A very clear explanation from both sides of the globe in this case. I'm just wondering, listening to the vessel owners, having seen our presentation as well, how do you in your organization deal with, I mean, the command is clear on the unit itself, but how does it interact with the other vessels that are in the field, other parties that are operating there? I mean, you saw the Deepwater Horizon, if Cameron are there, Halliburton are drilling, it's on board your unit, but you know, everybody else comes in. How do you do that? Because on the rig it's clear that you say, okay, we got the OIM and the master is overriding. But how does that interact with the client rep and the other parties in the field?
It is clear that we have every time an agreement, a meeting like the one that was explained by Andrea earlier on. And in any case, there is a general rule according to which the master of the big vessel, which can be the drilling unit or the FRSU, the FPSO, the master of the big vessel has a priority in taking initiatives, but of course, at the end of the day, every single master must be ready to take appropriate initiatives, if necessary, to save his own vessel.
Thank you very much. I think that concludes our session. Thank you very much for your interest and staying here as well. I think I may conclude that at the end of the day, it's still boys and their toys. The bigger it is, the better it is for you because you're in charge. Thank you very much.